If Lucinda Waters is suing her stepdaughter, 22-year-old secretary Kim Flett, and her husband, 24-year-old construction worker Brandon Flett. Lucinda says when the couple fell on hard times, she helped them pay their bills.
This is case number 192 on the calendar in the matter of Waters versus Flett.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Ms. Waters, do you have a problem that requires you to wear a visor and sunglasses?
Yes, ma'am. I have a letter from the doctor here.
Could I see it, please?
Yes.
All right, well, this is a letter requesting permission for you to wear the visor and glasses.
Yes.
So I have no objection.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Waters, this young lady is your stepdaughter.
Yes.
And her husband.
Yes.
And this gentleman?
Is my husband.
This is your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that you loaned your stepdaughter and her husband a little over $10,000.
Yes.
And they have repaid half.
A little less than half.
And you want the balance.
Yes.
Your stepdaughter and her husband say they've paid you back all that they have to because they did some work, some barter for you that took care of the balance of the loan. That's your defense. Is that right? How much money did she borrow from you?
Total? Probably about $70,000.
What did you borrow the money for?
For car payments. She paid insurance. There is a payoff balance there from a vehicle that she had taken.
For a car?
Right.
That you needed? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how much money did you borrow from your mother?
Her or my real mother?
Your biological mother?
None.
None? How much money did you borrow from your father?
None.
So it sounds to me, from your mother and your father, you got squat. From your stepmother, you got a whole bunch, right?
Right.
Now, you paid her back $4,000. She says she's loaned you over the years a lot more than $10,000. So now you are going to explain to me why you didn't pay her back the rest. Who's speaking?
Well, first of all, it all started out where we were getting behind.
Why were you getting behind?
On trying to get everything paid.
Why?
Financially.
We were financially in a rut, Your Honor, and
Why were you in a rut? You're two young people. How many children do you have?
2.
2. Do you work?
Yes.
Do you work?
Yes.
Well, I have slow seasons at my work, and then we weren't making the bills, and Miss Waters took on a couple of loans for us. That's how.
Well, that was really nice of her. You have mother and father?
Yes.
Did they give you money to pay off your bills?
No. If they had,
Yeah,
they
brother.
would.
What?
If they had, they would.
That's always a good answer. If I had it, I'd give you anything I had. All I wish to have is that I had it. So far, I've got your mother and father who gave you nothing, her mother and father who gave you nothing, and stepmother who gave you a lot. Right? I'm listening to a yes.
They helped us out, yes.
She helped you out.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now I'm listening as to why you didn't pay her back. I'm listening.
We were renting a house from her. We did a bunch of repairs.
You were renting a house from her.
Yes.
So she had a house. Tell me about the house.
The house, originally when we first got married, she purchased a house for us, and we were buying the house off of her through a bank.
So she purchased a house, and she said to you, if you pay it off, it's yours. If you pay off the note, it's yours.
Yes.
Did she put any money down on the house?
I paid 100% of it. Their closing costs, their furniture, everything. All they had to do was move in.
And they were supposed to pay you back by paying
Monthly
rent
payment.
every month?
Well, no, it was actually a mortgage set up at that time.
Oh, good.
So that they could get credit.
And how much were they supposed to pay you every month?
At that point, it was $435 a month.
What a bargain. Couldn't get that anywhere else, could you?
Nope. We got and we paid on it.
So?
But 2 years went by, we ran into some problems where my mother-in-law wanted to take the house back into her name.
Why was that?
We ran into marital problems.
Yeah.
And instead of losing the house, my mother-in-law wanted to sign the house back over into her name.
Your Honor, before that, before they had marital problems, they were over 3 months behind. I made arrangements with them at that time because I was going to go ahead and go in foreclosure because they were behind on their car payments, which Ford Credit was getting ready to come and repo. They called me. I had to send money to them to stop that. They were over 3 months behind on the mortgage. They talked me into stopping the foreclosure if I would give them a chance, and so I let them make month-and-a-half payments until they caught it up. Then they split up. And that time, my stepdaughter had actually moved in with another gentleman, and we allowed the grandchildren and Mr. Flat, Brandon here, to move in with my husband and I to help him out because everything was really chaotic at that time.
So far, does that sound right, Brandon? Did you go and live with them?
Yeah, for about a week or two.
So they were very nice to you?
Grandchildren.
Well, you were there too, weren't you?
Yes.
You ate there, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You slept there?
Yes.
Ah, I got it. Why don't you owe her the rest of the money?
Well, we ended up getting back together, moved back into the house, and at this time, my mother-in-law owned the home, and at this time, she decided to rent us the house.
She decided to what?
Rent us the house instead of mortgage payments.
Okay.
We did a bunch of repairs in the house, and
So?
she had an agreement where if I was going to help her do this work, she was going to sell us the house back, and she was going to use that money that I did on the work in the house as a down payment back to that house. That was a verbal agreement we had.
Is that right?
Somewhat.
What kind of an agreement did you have with him?
What happened was in October of 2003, they had come up and told me that they were not going to rent the house any longer when the lease ran out in March, I think it was. I told them at that point then I was going to have to do some renovations to the house and put it on the market to sell it because I needed to get out from under it because of the expenses. Then after some of the improvements that we were doing, we were, adding to actually make it a 3-bedroom home. They decided they liked the landscaping and everything we were doing to it. It looked real nice again, so they told me they wanted to buy it. So we told them at that point in time, if they were going to buy it, they had to get their own mortgage, that we couldn't do it. That was, we had done all we could do.
Right. Get your money, act like grown-ups, take care of yourself.
I told them, which basically wasn't legal, but I said, okay, if you help us finish this up so they can come in and do an appraisal on the house to help you get a mortgage, we'll say that you've put X amount of dollars down. So it'll make it easier for you to get this mortgage.
Gotcha. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Cinda Waters says her stepdaughter, Kim Flatt, and her husband, Brandon, owe for loans to pay their bills. Lucinda also says the couple won't let her see the grandchildren.
So I'm still waiting to hear why you didn't pay your stepmother back and your mother-in-law back the money that you owe her.
Well, the last month we lived there, Yana, we were half a month behind, and she decided to evict us, so...
Why were you half a month behind?
Bills got caught.
Bills! The two of you were like an accident looking to happen. You're old enough to make children, you're old enough to play house, but you're not old enough to take care of your business. This lady is not going to continue to take care of your business and to clean up after you. You have parents. They don't help you. You have brothers and sisters, who knows, and how many other relatives. Nobody else helps you except this lady here, and you pay her back by not paying her back. You two are an outrage. Do you get my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
You ought to thank her by kissing her anywhere she says. Instead of not paying her back what you owe her. Don't say anything else, Miss Waters. I'm not often prone to give advice and to talk about wise, age-old adages, but no good deed goes unpunished. You see, he's probably talking to his mother and father, who gave him nothing. Only, I'd give you anything I had if I had it, but I don't have it. She's probably still talking to her mother. She might even be talking to her father, who gave her nothing. The only one that they're not talking to is the one who was most generous and took care of them, and that's you.
And they won't even let me see the grandchildren.
Well, then they are stupid, insensitive babies, right? Because the only one that helped you is her. And it would seem to me that if you have children and the only grandparent that they can count on is her, then it would seem to me that you are really two of the dumbest people that I've met in a long time if you don't allow her to see her grandchildren.
They told me I would get a restraining order if I even tried to go see them.
Why is that?
Because look, she's trying to come after us for everything we ever had. She didn't always help us. She was always trying to bury us in financial debt every time she got a chance. Oh, I'll go buy you a car. And, you know, I need a car, so what can I do? I don't want my kids around somebody like that.
Where do you come from? Where do you come from? What jurisdiction do you come from? What
Florida.
state? Florida. Where in Florida?
Ocala.
They would have the water tested there. You owe her $5,000. And if you're smart and if you're sensitive, listen, see your first husband?
Yes.
Are you as dumb as he is?
No.
So you understand that he sounds very stupid. He does sound very stupid. You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he the father of your children?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were separated once?
Twice.
Twice. Why don't you turn around, just look at him, okay? Now look at me. In 10 years, you won't remember what he looks like. I'm being serious with you. In 10 years, unless you have pictures around the house to look at, you will not remember what he looks like. Now I want you to look at her. You're going to always know what she looks like. She's going to be the staple in your life, not him. Now, quite frankly, you're irrelevant, but your children aren't irrelevant. You're going to have to rely on them. If you cut them off, you're as dumb as he is. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that I'm right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They think that they just can get it and they don't have to pay it back.
I really don't believe that I owed her the money.
I was told to get out of their home, which was my home at the time.
Blown out of proportion.
I just want us all to be a family again.
In the future, yeah, I do see it.
And now the next case. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fernandez versus Holt. Step forward.
18-year-old homemaker April Fernandez is suing her boyfriend's sister, 24-year-old nurse's assistant Sheba Holt, for the return of a security deposit. Sheba says she kept the money because April ran up a $400 phone bill.
Miss Fernandez, I assume this is your boyfriend,
Yes.
your brother.
Yes.
According to what I read, Miss Fernandez, in your complaint, you had been living with Miss Holt.
Her mother.
And
Correct.
she lived there too?
Yes.
With the boyfriend. And there came a time when you and Miss Holt decided to rent an apartment together. You gave her a deposit, $300.
Yes.
And then you changed your mind.
Yes.
Why did you change your mind?
During the time my son was in the hospital, and she would come up and visit.
Is he the father of that child?
Yes, he is.
How old is that child?
Now he's 4 months, 5 months actually.
Go ahead.
And during the time my son was in the hospital for surgery, he was only a couple weeks old, and my boyfriend and I planned to get our own apartment. We were living at his mom's house rent-free, and we were trying to save our money to get our own apartment. She came up with the idea that let's live together and we'll split the rent. So I went along with it. She picked me up, took me to the bank, I withdrawed money, and the day later I got released from the hospital, asked her to pick me up, and she never showed up. So I changed my mind and I asked for my money back, and she never paid me back.
That's incorrect. She lived with me because that is my home also. I pay half the bills, I pay the phone bill, I pay half the mortgage, everything. Me and my mother share the home. And so, yes, she was living with me under my roof.
That's fine. She gave you $300. You don't deny she gave you $300.
No, I don't deny that she gave me $300, but I also don't believe that I owe her $300.
Well, that's what you have to explain to me.
Well, I have a phone bill here from when she stayed at my house. I did say that she can stay rent-free until after she had her child, but I didn't say that she can run my phone bill
That's
up.
incorrect.
And so when I got my phone bill and seen all these collect calls that she accepted from that young man who was in jail, I didn't feel like I needed to pay her $300 due to the fact that mortgage was due. We were all still living in that house.
Okay, I got it. Step. Miss Holt, let me tell you this. Generally speaking, you can't do what you want to do, which is write off the $300. And I understand you gave her $70 back.
Yes, I did because I
Okay,
felt
and you
bad.
acknowledge she gave you $70 back.
Yes, she did.
You can't decide that you're going to hold that for bills unless you had a contract that provided that she was to pay a phone bill.
Why would I need a...
Listen to me. Why? I don't know why. I have no idea why. She was staying at your house with a baby. He's in jail for what?
anything?
What, me? But no.
Oh, I was in jail for a probation violation because I didn't show up to court, failure to appear. And so I had a warrant for my arrest, and I got put in jail for 2.5 months. Then I got out, and...
What had you been convicted of?
What have I been convicted of?
That was my question. You have the answer.
Well, I got convicted of, what was it again? It was, it was grand theft, but that was in 2000.
2000 grand theft. I want to know what you were violated on, sir. What underlying crime were you violated on?
I was violated because I had a dirty pee test because I, smoked weed or whatever.
Oh, my God.
So I got in trouble for that, and I had to do 3 months, and I got out, had a baby, and, I wanted to get myself together and get out of my mom's house.
Sounds like the American dream to me.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Okay.
I have enough. Miss Holt,
Your Honor.
Miss Holt, listen to me very carefully.
Sure.
You owe her $230. Who are you living with now?
I still live at my same house.
Perfect. With your mother?
Yes.
What about him?
And he comes in and out as he pleases, bringing his little entourage to come live on me.
Do you know why that is, Miss
Why?
Holt? Because your mother permits it.
Well, anyhow, I live there, though, and I pay half of the bills.
Am I speaking? When I speak, you don't. Take your hand off your hip. Only attitude here is mine.
That's right.
Your problem is you live with your mother. This is her baby.
No,
No. He's her baby. You're grown up. You work, right?
Yes.
You help pay the bills?
Yes.
You have a responsible job?
Yes.
You've had it for how long?
Forever.
Forever?
Yes.
He will always be her baby because he's never going to grow up. He's never going to be responsible. You have to find your own place because your mother is always going to let him come back into the house. Always going to let him come back with his entourage, and it's always going to irritate you. So if you want to be free of that stress and aggravation, find your own place. Now I'm going to listen to you.
Okay, Judge, I just don't understand why she is suing me when I pulled her out of a situation where her mother, she's pregnant at 18 years old, 17, and her mother's getting ready to send her to jail pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
My mother,
I don't want you to interrupt her.
And, all these things, and she's putting her out. And I stopped what I was doing when this fool called me from jail saying, can you rescue my broad? So I go get her, bring her to my house, you know what I'm saying? Let her live in my room, rent-free, and this is what I get. This is what I get in return. I get sued for taking care of this youngster.
Miss Holt.
She's wrong.
I'm wrong for taking her into my home.
Don't speak.
Letting her use me, that's what I'm wrong for.
Miss Holt.
Yes, ma'am.
You are morally correct. You cannot, however, take her $230. Do I think that she's right to sue you after living,
on me for over 6 months?
Do I think so? I think she lacks a certain amount of character.
Yes.
Right? But it looks like for every pot there's a cover. You get it? You get it?
Yes, I do.
Good. I'm glad I gave you a good laugh. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $230. Listen, don't be such a good person anymore.
You're right about that.
And find your own place, because your mother's always going to take him back. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew that I was morally right anyway, whether I was going to win or lose today.
She stole from my son and expects to see him. I don't think so.
Now I hardly even get to see him, through all my help and everything.
It can be a possibility if she changes her attitude and changes the way she acts towards me and stop being so sneaky and conniving.
I'm going to go right and I'm going to let him go left like he always does.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Conger versus Tates, step forward, please.
Plaintiffs Chuck and Karen Conger are suing the father of their grandchild, roofer Jeremiah Tates, for the cost to fix a '97 Ford Escort. The Congers claim Jeremiah's driving caused the transmission to blow.
Mrs. Conger, you have a daughter whose name is Brenda.
Correct.
Let me guess, Brenda.
Yes.
Your stepdaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is a convoluted story of a car, a 1997 car, that was purchased for your daughter and the defendant, her then boyfriend and father of the two children. And the arrangement was that the two of them would pay you back for the car. Mm-hmm. Well, then they had an off-again, on-again kind of arrangement. And at some point, Mr. Tates took the car with your daughter's permission because she got a new car. Mm-hmm. And he was driving the car. and making the payments.
Yep.
And then the engine blew on the car, and he had the car towed to your house, and he said, I'm not making payments on it anymore. So you want him to pay for the repairs that you did to the car in order to get it up and running because you still have the car.
Correct.
That's really what the lawsuit is about. You want him to pay for the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Tate says, I only drove the car for a couple of months. Brenda has always driven that car, right?
Correct.
So why are you looking to me to pay for the repairs? So, the car was purchased when?
I'm not
All right.
sure when Brenda purchased the car.
Brenda, step up. When did you buy the car, Brenda?
The car was purchased, I want to say, in 2001.
Okay. And it was purchased in your name?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it still in your name?
No, ma'am.
Whose name is it in?
It is now in my mother and stepfather's name.
And who drove the car in 2001?
I did all the driving. Jeremiah did not have his
Okay.
license.
You did the driving 2001. Who did the driving of this particular car in 2002?
I did.
Who did the driving of this car in 2003?
I did half of it, and then Jeremiah took over.
Okay. Now, when did Jeremiah take over the car?
October to May.
To May of both.
May of 2004. How did he come to have possession of the car?
We were trying to work on things, and we just couldn't do it. So when I left, I also had another automobile. Jeremiah had his...
Just a second. When you left, what do you mean you had another automobile?
Oh, I'm sorry. When Jeremiah and I separated, I took my income taxes and I purchased a SUV. So for him to have transportation for his work, he also goes to a school and he has children. We just talked about it, and he was going to take that so he would have transportation for those needs.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. But the Explorer she had was paid off with the taxes she got back from our two kids, claiming our two kids. So, I mean...
Did you support them?
Yes, I did.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you claim them both that year?
He was the sole supporter of the family. I did not work. I went to school and I took care of the children. And when we separated, we were not on talking terms. I needed money. I needed to take care of my children and get a roof over our head.
So you claimed the children as your deduction?
Yes, ma'am.
Even though he supported them?
Yes, because when he claims taxes, he is paying the IRS right now, so he would not have received anything. I tried talking to him about it, but at that time we were not.
What do you mean he's paying the IRS?
He has back taxes. He used to own his own business, so he's dealing with
Okay,
stuff
so
like
you
that.
wouldn't have gotten the money anyway, but
No.
at least she got the advantage of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep, that was clear, Your Honor.
Okay, and how much of an advantage did you get?
Not much. I think my return was only $3,100.
$3,100.
Yes,
And you
ma'am.
got $3,100, and you actually did not support the children. He did that year.
Yes.
Fine. Who's driving the car now?
My daughter is.
Which daughter?
I have a daughter. She's 16 years old. Her name is Brianna, and she's making payments on the car because we still owe money on the car.
Great. How much do you still owe?
A couple $1,000s.
I don't think he's responsible to fix the car.
We have 6 months of where he's made payments on this car faithfully.
That's absolutely right. He made payments 6 months faithfully. The car was not in his name. It's in your name. You chose to take the car, and instead of fixing it and selling it, you chose to give it to your daughter. That's what you chose to do.
We just thought that he's the one that was driving it at the time, so we thought that he should be held responsible for...
No, not necessarily.
the
The engine could have blown when your daughter was driving the car. She drove the car for 3 years. Cut your losses.
Well, he
Well, ma'am,
made payments on this car with faith, and if he would have taken out a loan, he would have had this car then.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
May I?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda. You also could have fixed the car and sold it.
I understand your view on I was the one driving, but I was the only one with a legal license.
So what?
Well, if he would have had a license, his driving would have been just as much. So the problem, okay.
Madam, you want to also explain the $3,100 that should have actually gone to the federal government and went to your pocket instead?
I also worked.
Oh, that's a lot of baloney.
No,
you said to me a moment ago that he was the sole support of the children the year that you claimed the children on your tax returns, and you did it because you knew that if he claimed the children, he would not be getting a refund because he owed for back taxes. So you claimed the refund. You needed money to buy a new car, which you took $3,100. You bought a new car. You gave him that one. Good. Leave him alone. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, he admitted that he was hot riding, but with the income taxes, I had to do that because otherwise my children and I would have been on the streets.
We'll always try to work on things. I mean, that's just a must for the kids.
It's draining. I mean, I try to go to school and deal with my children and work, and with this burden over my family, I'm ready. It's just over with, and now we can just move on. Yep.
23-year-old warehouse worker Monique Goodwin is suing her former landlord, apartment manager Linda Kyle, for medical bills, a security deposit, and pain and suffering. Monique says, due to Linda's negligence, she almost died.
Yeah, this is case number 489 on the calendar in the matter of Goodwin versus Kyle. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Goodwin, Miss Kyle was the resident manager in the apartment complex where you used to live.
Correct.
And you're suing her for thousands of dollars because you say she ignored a medical condition that you had, placing your life at risk, both yours and your daughter's.
Correct.
And you want your pain and suffering that she caused you, some medical bills. In addition, you want a security deposit of $1,000 that she hadn't returned to you.
Correct.
And Miss Kyle says she owes you absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, you lived there the last month without paying rent, and that's what your security deposit went for. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now let's get to the medical condition first, because I find that quite interesting. I gather there is a gate.
Correct.
In your former complex where you lived, and that when you moved in, you were told that in order to get in and out of the gate, you needed a clicker, like a remote. And it was $25.
Yeah, but at the time, I did not own a...
Don't get ahead of me, please. Okay. I'll let you fill in the blanks.
Okay.
I'm sort of setting this out so that Bert doesn't get bored.
Okay.
So you opted not to get a clicker because you didn't have a car.
No, I had a remote control, but it wasn't one that I purchased from her. At the time, I did not own a car, so there was no reason for me to have a remote control to the gate. But the only reason why I got
it... listen to me. You didn't buy a remote control from her for $25.
Correct.
When did you move in?
I moved in April.
April of what year?
2004.
All right. And you lived there with your daughter?
My daughter and my son.
Then in October of 2004, your daughter had a seizure.
Correct.
And paramedics came and fire department and everybody else, and they can get in to the complex, but because you didn't have a clicker, they couldn't get out. At least the ambulance couldn't get out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Correct.
So you were angry because your daughter was stuck in the ambulance or whatever, and you went to her the next day, I assume, and
yes,
said what? And said what?
I was very upset. I approached Miss Linda Kyle and informed her that around 4 o'clock that morning, the paramedics came and picked up my daughter because she had a seizure, and the fire truck came and opened up the gate. After the fire truck left, then the paramedics were there. When the paramedics got ready to leave out of the gate, there was no way for them to, when they went around the apartments,
Listen to me, Miss Goodwin, we're not creating a novel here. This is a novella, small. The ambulance couldn't get out.
No, they couldn't.
So you went and complained the next day?
Yes, I did.
And what did Miss Kyle say to you?
She did nothing.
Your daughter suffers from seizures?
That was the first seizure that I've ever had my daughter have.
Well, after you had that first experience, you know what I would have done?
No.
I would have bought a clicker.
Okay.
You chose not to do that. And then a month later, you had an asthma attack.
Correct.
And you still didn't have a clicker.
Exactly, but that has nothing to do with the paramedics. The paramedics should be able to get out of that gate at all times. The only one that has a code is the fire truck. Once the fire truck leaves, there's nothing that the paramedics can do. The night that I had that asthma attack, there was no way for them. They saved my life. I was hospitalized for 3 days because of that. And the first time, she did nothing.
What I don't understand is why you didn't buy a clicker.
Why I didn't? Because I didn't have a car. There was no need for me. After someone stole it inside the apartment.
Listen to me. There was a need because a month before your daughter had a serious incident, according to you. And Had you had a clicker at that point, you would have gone out in the ambulance with your daughter, gone like this, and the gate would have gone up.
Well, at the time, when a 2-year-old is sitting there having a seizure, that remote control does not mean anything to me. That is my 2-year-old daughter. That's the only daughter that I have. That remote control.
I want to tell you something. You're not making sense to me. You're not making sense to me.
The remote control, okay, the remote control is a big thing to me, okay? It is. But when it comes to the fire truck and the paramedics, that has nothing to do with me having a remote control to the gate. That has nothing to do with it at all, period. I could have lost my life in that paramedics. That's why I'm so upset.
Listen to me, madam. What I don't understand is your daughter had a seizure in October. The paramedics had a problem getting out of your gate. Now you know that your daughter is subject to seizures. I would have said to myself, I have a 2-year-old child. I'm not going to be put in a situation where this can ever happen to me again. Here's $25. Give me a clicker. I'm going to keep it in my house in case I ever have that kind of problem again. That's the way you protect your child. Why would you blame that on somebody else?
Well, it's a lot when it comes to Miss Linda.
We're not talking about Miss Linda. I'm talking about you being a responsible parent.
Yes.
You now have a child that you know is subject to
kids.
seizures, who may in the future have that kind of an emergency. And just as you would go and get the medicine for your child that the doctor gave you, you would want to ensure that if an ambulance had to be called again, you would be able to get the ambulance in and out. I mean, if you disapprove of the way this apartment complex is run, you have a choice. You can move.
Correct.
That's your choice. But to stay there after your 2-year-old has had a seizure without the ability to get her out in case of an emergency is very, very irresponsible.
Well, I thought she was going to fix the problem after I approached her with it.
What made you think that?
Because she's the manager of the apartments. And
now, what did she say to you that led you to believe that she was going to fix it?
She told me they had a code to the gate. They don't have a code to that gate because we sat out there for 30 minutes. When I had my asthma attack, they went knocking on people's doors at 4 o'clock in the morning to get me
Just
out.
a second. Let me ask you a question. They were knocking on people's doors, the paramedics?
Correct.
What did they want when they were knocking on people's doors?
They wanted to get out of the gate.
They wanted a
remote control to get out of the gate.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Quinn says she nearly died from an asthma attack because paramedics couldn't open the security gate to her apartment. Manager Linda Kyle says Monique never purchased a remote control.
Now, after your incident in November, at some point you were served with an eviction notice. You want to tell me why you served her with an eviction notice?
The eviction notice that Ms. Goodwin was served with had nothing to do with the gate. It was due to a nuisance matter where her and her sister was fighting all outside.
You have a complaint?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Who witnessed this?
Actually, it was 3 or 4 apartments in the complex that called and reported that there was a big scene.
Did you have surround sound in your apartment?
No, I do not own surround sound.
Your Honor, she told me she owned surround sound.
When did she tell you that?
When I asked her to turn her music down.
What did she say?
She said that she didn't feel that she should have to get rid of her surround sound, that she had a right as long as she paid her rent and her apartment to play her music whenever she felt like it.
Which is a lie.
Okay, so you were served with this 3-day notice to quit on December the 1st.
No, I wasn't.
When were you served?
I was given this notice to quit on December the 3rd. I tried to give her my rent on the 1st of December. She looked at me with a big smile on her face while me and my mom was in her office and told me that she was not going to accept my rent.
Okay. So she said, I'm not going to accept your rent on December 1st. You were given a notice to vacate the apartment. When did you, in fact, leave the apartment?
We went to court on January the 5th. I didn't leave until January the 22nd.
What was your rent?
My rent was $625.
Did you pay rent for December?
I tried. I have.
Don't tell me you tried.
No, I...
Did you pay rent for December? Did you live there in December?
Yes, I did.
Did you pay rent in January?
No, I did not, because she
Did you live there in January?
Yes, I did. I tried to give her my rent. She did not want it.
No, she wanted you out. The only issue is whether when you moved out, you owed any money. You lived there for 2 months. You didn't pay rent for 2 months. I'm not here to determine whether or not the underlying case of the eviction was right or wrong. That's been resolved by the housing court. I'm here because you want your security deposit back, and what I'm saying to you is you expected to live there for December and January and not have, I'm speaking, and not pay rent?
I'm gonna get mad.
Are you living someplace now that you like?
Yes, me and my kids are very happy.
Good, that's what I think should happen. I think that you and your children should find a place to live where you're very happy. Does it have a gate?
Yes, it does. And as a matter of fact, the people can get in and out of the gate.
Perfect. Then you're in a place where you're happy.
But the problem...
Listen to me. You're in a place where you're happy. All right. Now, you were given an opportunity to get a remote control for the gate. You chose not to get one. Even after your daughter had a seizure, you chose not to get one.
What does that have to do with the paramedics? I don't understand that.
Miss Goodwin, listen, there are no free rides.
Yeah, but this is the receipt that I tried to give her my rent money.
But
she would not take it from me.
You just paid it with your security deposit, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Me and my daughter could have lost our lives while we were in that paramedics.
Well, I think Judge Judy got a chance to see through Miss Monique.
This lady is a very good liar, and she lies all the time.
She's young. This is her first apartment.
She's just and I hate her, and I'm going to keep hating her.
She's a little hard-headed. You can't make her understand.
She's just like, ugh.
Pray for patience.
Mitchell and her boyfriend Timothy Green II are suing their former employer, Gary Toner, and his friend David Showalter Jr. for the return of a '93 Dodge Intrepid and lost wages. Gary is countersuing for money and a cell phone he claims Timothy stole.
All rise. Yes, this is case number 458 on the calendar in the matter of Green, Mitchell versus Toner, Showalter. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
All right, here's another one of those convoluted cases where I need a roadmap just to get through the papers. Let me see if I've managed to, at least in some small measure, dissect it. You and your fiancé worked for this gentleman.
Yes, Your Honor.
Whose name is?
Gary Toner, Your Honor.
He also worked for him.
Yes, Your Honor.
He had a car that he wanted to sell. You agreed to buy the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is your story. You made payments on the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
You repaired the car.
Yes,
He
Your
gave
Honor.
you the title to the car.
Yes.
Gave you the registration to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then one day, your fiancé, who was using the car to make pizza deliveries, because that's what Mr. Toner does, he's in the pizza business.
Yes, Your Honor.
He got robbed
Yes.
at gunpoint.
Yes, Your Honor.
After making a whole bunch of deliveries, he had about $800 with him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Toner didn't believe that Mr. Green got robbed.
Yes, Your Honor.
So they came and took your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you want your car back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Showalter, he says, I never sold him my car. He says, Mr. Toner and I let Mr. Green use the car, sort of like a rental, for work and for pleasure and to make our pizza deliveries. And when he got robbed, we took the car back because we figured he wasn't going to be working for us anymore, so they took it back.
Yes, ma'am.
You got this so far?
I'm trying to keep up.
Try to keep up. Try to keep up. And Mr. Toner has a cross complaint. He says he wants the money back that Mr. Green stole because he didn't get robbed. He stole the money and also a cell phone that was the business cell phone that you allegedly have. That's your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When did you purchase this car, Miss Mitchell?
I purchased the vehicle in September of 2004.
For how much?
The total was $1,670, Your Honor.
How did you pay for it?
Mr. Toner, seeing I was an employee of his, a full-time employee, he deducted $200 from my weekly wages, which was every Tuesday. I have a record here of every week that my money was taken out of my check. Thank you. The top page is the original, then I rewrote it just so you would understand it better.
Well, this is cash payment.
Your Honor, it was off the books. While I was with Mr. Toner for 3 years, I was paid off the books. That's just how things were done.
It's not totally true, Your Honor.
It's not what?
Not totally true, Your Honor.
It's enough true so that the IRS is going to be interested in this case. Everybody perk up. Perk up, perk up. Love this. You know something? If I keep going along like this, Bert, I'm going to balance the budget. How many months did you have the car?
I purchased the car September 2004, and the last time I seen the vehicle was January 1st of 2005, New Year's Eve.
I would like to see when you purchased the car from Mr. Showalter. So I don't know why you were paying Mr. Toner.
May I say something, please?
Yeah.
I never purchased the vehicle from Mr. Showalter. Mr. Toner bought the vehicle at the city public auction and sold it to me because I was an employee.
So Mr. Toner, it was Mr. Toner's car?
Yes, ma'am. He purchased it at the auction.
Let me see the paperwork he gave you in either September or later.
Mr. Toner never gave me the paperwork. I was given a title in September by Mr. Showalter.
Well, let me see it.
They have the title. They did a duplicate of it and stopped the title at the DMV, ma'am.
Well, I want to see what paperwork you have that is evidence of
this.
Oh,
okay. As far as my receipts and all, I don't have a bill of sales. Mr. Toner never gave me a bill of sales, Your Honor. The proof I have are all the receipts for the 93 Intrepid. It's stated on all these receipts.
Let me see.
Also, I have the police report, Your Honor.
Just a second, just a second, just a second. So I have parts for the car.
There's also a receipt in there, Your Honor.
And then you had the windows
Yes.
tinted? Brake pads. Well, why would they make all these repairs on a car that they didn't own?
The arrangement that apparently they had with Mr. Showalter was they would maintain the vehicle. He's using it, making a lot of money with it, and he'd maintain the vehicle.
Well, didn't he work for you?
Yes.
You paid him?
Yes.
How much?
Oh, God, depending on how many deliveries he took, maybe $100 a day.
I thought the car didn't belong to Mr. Showalter. I thought the car belonged to you.
No, I purchased the vehicle from an auction,
Yes.
and I then sold it to Mr. Showalter.
Can I see the title to the car, please? You say in your complaint, madam, that
Yes.
Mr. Showalter gave you the title to the car, signed it, and sent it to the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Tim signed it, and yes, we did send it to DMV.
Why didn't you get a copy of that? Where is it?
It never came back in the mail, Your Honor. And I do have Mr. Showalter on tape stating that they pulled a flim-flam on us, that they...
Oh, well, I'd love to hear that he pulled a flim-flam.
May I play it?
Sure.
Legit. Okay? Gary went behind my back and ordered a new title.
All right, he told me that you did. You did all of that.
He ordered the new title, had it sent in. Okay? Told me he was going to take the car on you. I said, I don't want no part of it because me and you were down.
Oh, no, but he the one said that you the one planned everything. Had the car moved, took it off the lot.
Why would I take the car from you? I didn't care. Why would I, if you got robbed or anything from the pizzeria, why would I care? Why would I take, was going to get another title? He said he ordered a title, he was going to take your car. I said, Gary, you can't. Everything's in my name. He goes, I got ways to do everything.
Yeah, and I know because the car was paid in full, you know what I'm saying?
Just a second. Explain yourself.
I told her whatever she wanted to hear. I'm tired of conflicts.
Listen. No. You hear the groans out there? They're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to do that.
I told her whatever she wanted to hear. Every time she calls me, I go into her place of business. She threatens me just to get her off my back. So I told her what she wanted to hear.
Listen to me. Not only is he going to get into trouble with the IRS for paying people off the books, but you're going to get into trouble for lying to me.
I'm not lying, Your Honor.
Sure you are.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Claim their former employer, Gary Toner, and his friend David Showalter Jr. hope for the return of a 93 Dodge Intrepid. Gary says he fired Timothy because he faked a robbery.
You had a conversation with him, and you pretty much apologized to him because your boss did the wrong thing.
No. I did order another title because I was afraid I'd get screwed over. I was never getting my money on time for anything. I was tired of...
What does that mean, you weren't getting your money on time? What does that mean, Mr. Showalter?
We had an arrangement. I was supposed to have the money on the 1st. I was never
Just
getting
a second. You weren't getting your money on time for what?
the payments for the insurance and the car payment for renting it.
Not renting it. That's not what you said.
That's
not what you said. You said, I was afraid I was going to not get my money on time. I was afraid I was going to get screwed.
Can I explain how this unfolded?
Do I need to hear it?
Yes.
No, I don't need to hear it. I think that what you did was you think that he planned a robbery, concocted a story about a robbery to steal the money that he collected for pizza deliveries on December 31st.
That's right.
And you knew you weren't going to get your money back. You knew you weren't going to get your money from him because you really had no way of proving that he staged this robbery.
He agreed to pay it back.
Before or after you took his car?
After the car was removed.
And that's how it unfolded. So you took his car, and it was his car. Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. Tell me about... He says he was robbed at gunpoint after he made a day's worth of deliveries. You say you don't believe that the way things unfolded. You think he did it. Now, the only thing I'm interested in is you say he promised to pay you back. Tell me about that.
He had agreed to pay back the...
Tell me where it happened, when it happened, and what the discussion was.
It happened on the 31st, December, New Year's Eve. And I received a call at my house, probably midnight or so, saying that the store manager called me and said that he was robbed. And I said to the store manager, well, I had checked with you through the evening, and you had said he had made drops periodically. And how is it he was robbed for the figure he then told me, $880? That's impossible. And I said, okay, I'm coming in. I'm on the way in. En route, I then called Mr. Showalter and said, I think he's pulling something here. I don't know
Go grab the car.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know what your situation
well,
is with the
absolutely.
vehicle.
You can't do that. It's his car.
No, it's Mr. Showalter's car, Your Honor.
No.
Okay.
No.
So on the way
That's
in-
what we're here to determine, sir.
Okay.
And I'm telling you right now, after I heard that tape, I have determined it's her car.
Okay. So then on the way
You
in...
took it as hostage.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
Sure. Well, but what prompted you to take the car at that point, sir?
Oh, I didn't take the car. I simply mentioned to Dave, if you still have money outstanding, you might want to consider taking back your vehicle. Because he's
What
probably
does
going to
that
lose his
mean?
job.
Just a second. What does that mean if you still have any money outstanding?
Paying for the car. He was behind insurance at that point by 1 month.
You know that you thought of that very, very fast, sir. But you've
No,
already
sir.
put,
No,
but
no,
you
no,
already,
Your Honor, that's
but
the
you
truth.
already put your foot in your mouth. If they're behind at all in the car, you better go get it. Go ahead.
So I came in. I picked up T, who was at the restaurant. We then drove to the location.
Would you please just tell me when he told you he would pay you back?
It was right then, that night.
Well, tell me about the discussion about I'm going to do.
Drove to the location, realized it was nowhere near his delivery route. It was the last run of the evening. The last delivery of the last run didn't add up. He's in a very bad part of town. I said, what are you doing way over here? He said, well, I'm going to get gas. I said, well, there's stations en route to here. He said, well, they were busy. I said, well, what happened? Why'd you get out of the car with all this money in your pocket? He said, people threw eggs at my car and I went out to fight them.
Yeah, and?
Yeah. So I told him, it doesn't make sense. We got back to the pizzeria. At that point, David Showalter had removed his car. And T said, where's the car? And I said, the car is removed. And you're fired because I don't believe you.
Okay.
So then a conversation unfolded in the back room where he said, I'm sorry, I'll pay you back. I said, why don't you just tell me the truth? Just tell me you staged it. Tell me you pocketed the money. Because I've had problems with T.
Just a second. So what did he say?
He'd pay back the money.
Is that what you told him?
No.
What did you tell him?
He said I wasn't going to get the car back unless I pay back the money. I ended up working 2 days for free.
It's not true, right?
Did you say to him at that point in the back room, all right, I'll pay you back the money?
Yes, because he told me I couldn't get the car back unless I paid back the
not
money.
true, right?
I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. Don't believe you? Don't believe you. Okay. Where's the car now?
Do not know, Your Honor. It was robbed. Have the police report?
Let me see it, please. Did they ever recover it?
Not yet, Your Honor.
I don't like a bunch of fibbers. I think there's a little bit of truth to what you say. I think that they probably didn't fully pay you for the car at the time that the car was taken. I don't know whether you were robbed or not, but I certainly...
Excuse me, I do have a police report for the robbery, Your Honor.
It's okay. Did they find anybody?
No, Your Honor.
It just is his statement that he was robbed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
It also made the newspaper. It's crime-infested there where the pizzeria is. So.
And it's also more
Listen,
on the tape.
Mr. Toner is skeptical about people telling him the truth. He's skeptical about people being shortcut artists, right?
Absolutely. There's a bit of history as well with T.
Well, are you a shortcut artist, Mr. Toner? All I want to know about is the cell phone. Where is the cell phone?
I have the receipt here. It's, I believe it to be still in Timothy's possession.
No, I don't have it. I gave it back.
To whom?
So who'd you give it to?
Back to the
Don't
pizzeria.
speak to him. Who'd you give it to?
Back to the store manager.
Who was that?
That would be Ricky.
When did you give it back to Ricky?
2 weeks. 2 weeks later, after my phone had got turned back on, because I was keeping in contact with him about the car.
About what? Getting the car back?
That I was going to get the car back. Now the car ended up getting stolen. I even got more on the tape.
Got it. Okay, counterclaim is dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Some people say I was robbed. I could go down the street, throw money out of my pocket, say I got robbed.
Pizzeria's been robbed 4 times within the last month.
Drivers have $20 in their pocket in singles. If they're robbed, you throw the money and you go the other way.
I never heard of nothing like that.
Customers had called and said that he came to the door smelling like marijuana.
Me and the manager, the other manager was jolly smoking, you know what I mean?
I'm just grateful that the judge seen that I was telling this truth and seen right through Mr. Toner, Mr. Showalter.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Lombardo versus Rao. Step forward, please.
21-year-old waitress Elizabeth Lombardo is suing her ex-boyfriend, 22-year-old construction worker Bo Rao, for several loans she made throughout their relationship. Bo says Elizabeth is holding his belongings hostage.
Miss Lombardo, this gentleman used to be your boyfriend, and you lived together for a period of time. According to you, when you separated, he owed you some money.
Yes.
Mr. Rao says he doesn't owe you any money. Relationships are a give-and-take thing. So get over it and move on with it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you live together, Miss Lombardo?
We lived together from May probably to August of 2004. We started in May 2003.
Is that about right?
That's about right.
And did you move into an apartment together, or did you...
No, we moved in with my family.
That's wrong, Your Honor. Prior to that, we were living at my apartment with my brother, and she was staying over there. Then we moved.
When was that, sir?
That was April and May. We stayed in the apartment, then moved there.
I still had a room in my house. It
I
wasn't.
don't care whether you still had a room in your house. Were you living with Mr. Rao and his brother for April and May?
Yes.
And then the two of you moved into her family's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Where you had a room?
Yes.
Fine. So what does he owe you money for?
Throughout the course of our relationship, the defendant didn't have a job, so I helped support him.
Okay.
From a dental bill, his car windshield was smashed. Dentist, car
you said
payments,
dentist
municipal
twice.
court payments.
Your Honor, I had a job.
So you gave him money?
Yes.
And?
We had a verbal agreement when we were going out that he would pay it back.
Well, tell me about the verbal agreement that he would pay it back.
Just throughout the court, like he would pay me money when he had money, and like when he didn't have a job, I was always forking out money for him.
How often? 5 times, 10 times, 20 times?
It was constant.
And he always said to you, you know, you have $20, I'll pay you back. You have $50, I'll pay you back.
Yeah.
Right? Go ahead.
Then when we separated, we decided he was going to make payments of $40 a week, in which he never continued to do. I received one payment of
Just a
$50.
minute. Well, how did you come up with the amount that he owed you?
We kept it in mind at all times. It was
Did you?
No, Your Honor, when we were going out, we weren't keeping...
When you moved out, did you agree to pay her a sum of money?
Oh, no, Your Honor.
You did not?
No, Your Honor.
When you separated, did you sit down and write up something?
Yes.
Let me see it. Did you sign this IOU?
No, Your Honor. And for us to sign each other's name on something was pretty common. I could show you receipts with my signing for her debit card, or her signing for my debit card. It was nothing.
You didn't sign this?
No, Your Honor.
Fine. Tell me the circumstances surrounding your separation, Mr. Rao.
The relationship just got ridiculous. She was constantly lying. Everything that would come up would be a lie about something. I couldn't live at her house anymore. And I only actually left for the weekend after a fight, and when I came back, all my stuff was at my parents' house, and she said I had to be out.
So she moved your stuff out?
She moved it with no notice of anything. So
Okay.
then she wanted me out.
I'm ready to hear the rest. 30 seconds or less, Ms. Lombardo.
When he moved out, when he wanted his bed, his stuff was there. That's when you don't believe that he signed the paper.
Well, just a
And-
minute. So if what you're telling me, you told me he couldn't take his things unless he signed the paper?
Mhm.
Then even if he signed it, it's worthless.
He had this agreement with me.
Let me explain something to you. He didn't. What you're saying is that during the course of your year and some months relationship, if you gave him $20, if you gave him $50, whatever it was, he said to you, when I get it, I'll pay you back. And that's what people do when they live together and they're not married. Don't worry, honey, I'll pay you back. That's not a loan. When two people play house and not commit to a relationship as we know it and get married, Courts aren't interested in going over $20 here, $5 here, $15 there, $100 for the dentist, $12 for this. Courts aren't interested in doing that. We got other things to do. So it's been my suggestion, if you watch carefully, if I've always said, keep your finances separate. So I think you have to put a real period and say, it's over.
I'm fine.
How
with
old
that.
are you?
21.
21? Perfect. You didn't waste a lot of your time. You didn't waste the best years. You didn't waste the flowing years. Who is this, by the way?
This is my girlfriend, Your Honor.
She have anything to contribute to this case other than, you know, looking nice?
No, just
she decided to come with you
she's
to irritate her.
She's seen the craziness.
To irritate her.
Yeah.
Well, probably not the best idea to bring her. Who is this?
This is my friend.
So he brought a girlfriend, you brought a friend. Move on. He did. You should. Have a happy life. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. They step out.
Just pathetic that he has to lie that I didn't lend him money, that I supported him, and that he didn't sign the paper when he did sign the paper.
She makes up fake things. She lied. The whole relationship was basically a joke.
You trust someone and you can't.
It was out of trust and love because she's a nice person, and that's what happens when you're nice to people and trust them.
She just needs to get over it because he doesn't want her anymore.
He's a scumbag.
It's over, man. It's over. It's all over.
1-year-old auto detailer Brad Soderblom is suing his former friend, 20-year-old delivery man Richard Martin Jr. for his share of damage to a hotel room. Brad says during a night of heavy drinking, Richard fell through a window.
Yeah, this is case number 493 on the calendar in the matter of Soderblom versus Martin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Oh, goodness gracious me. All right, which one of you goofballs rented this hotel room to have a party?
Yeah, that's my witness here, Your Honor.
This goofball right over there. Raise your hand. Goofball. Good.
It's me.
Perfect. And so you went into an unsuspecting hotel with a bunch of barely out of their teens goofballs, and they proceeded to wreck the place. Right?
Yes.
And now you come to court and you say, oh, no, you go figure it out. So I guess I have to do it because it's my job. But it's irritating. Do you understand how irritating that? Why are you smiling?
I don't know.
Well, don't. It's irritating. Okay. Where do you live?
St. Louis.
On what date did you rent this hotel room?
The night of December 23rd.
Why?
We were bored and we wanted to have something to do, I guess. We were going to play poker.
And how many people did you invite to the hotel room?
There's probably between 10 and 15 people there.
And what was the name of this hotel?
The Days Inn.
When you rented this room, who was responsible for bringing the alcohol? Raise your hand.
No.
You had to watch that in slow motion. It was really quite interesting. And what kind of alcohol did you bring?
Just Bud Light.
How much?
Yeah. I had about a 12-pack or more.
12-pack or more. Do they make a 16-pack?
Yeah, it was probably 16-pack.
As they make a 16-pack?
No, I just called it that. I had about 12 plus 4 more.
So you had a 12-pack and you carried 4 bottles loose?
Right.
And what about you? What did you bring?
I brought a 12-pack. I didn't finish it.
Just for you?
Yeah.
And was your 12-pack just for you?
Yes.
And what about you?
I had some beer there, too.
Did you bring any?
Yes.
Well, why didn't you raise your hand? When I said who brought alcohol, this one raised his hand right away because he's scared to death of me, which is a very good thing. This one's not too sure.
I thought you were just looking at them, asking them if they brought alcohol.
No, I'm an ecumenical abuser.
I did, too.
What did you bring?
12-pack of Bud Light.
And was that just for you?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
That's better. Okay, so this is what the lawsuit is about. You rented the room on your credit card. There was some damage to the room in the amount of $360?
No, the damage total was $955. Myself and the defendant were responsible for $710. So I
You
paid.
mean responsible because you damaged $710
Right,
worth?
because of our stupidity.
Yes.
And I paid him, my witness, his amount plus the half of the $355 that he owed because he refused to pay anything.
I wish I could figure out a way to really torture them. Better.
Well, you will.
You're right. Who are you?
Mary Burkhardt.
How are you related to this case?
I'm a friend of Richard's, and I was bringing him home that night.
She's the sober one that was there. The only sober one.
Who are you?
I'm DJ Feldorf.
What'd you do?
I was there at the party.
You were one of the goofballs?
Yes.
Good. Mr. Hill, I want you to describe the damage to the room that was done at the Days Inn.
There was a hole in the bathroom door, blood on the mattress.
From what?
From one of them going through the window and coming back in the room.
Yeah. Keep going.
Carpet extraction to clean the glass. Rooms got charged. Both rooms got charged because the mattress had to get replaced and the room with the window broken had to get replaced. So
you mean there were two different rooms?
The room that the window got broken in was not my room.
Whose room was that?
It was nobody's room. It was a vacant room. They were on the balcony when they were wrestling and went through a different room. It wasn't even my room, and I paid for it.
What else?
That's it. They charged for the room, the mattress, the carpet, the door, the window, an AC vent below the window, and the labor for the window.
And they had your credit card for this, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good for you, Days Inn. What kind of work do you do?
I work at Subway.
You work at Subway?
Yes.
You know how many sandwiches you have to make for $955?
Yes.
Were you the only group staying at the Days Inn that night?
There were other guests there.
How many times did somebody call, knock at the door, and say, "Could you keep it down"?
There were no complaints. We weren't very loud.
Except when there were fights.
At the end, yes. That was at like 6 a.m.
No, we were fighting. No, there was. He wasn't even playing poker. This side was playing poker of the room. This side over here was like a party room.
Party room. What does that mean?
Like a party room, like where everybody's just standing up, drinking, having fun, and then everyone's over here wrestling, while everyone over here is playing poker.
Everyone's not wrestling.
So,
I want you to describe to me what you did to cause Mr. Soderblom to sue you today for your portion of whatever he paid.
Well, we were in the wrestling.
In which room?
In the hotel room, and we were wrestling. Everybody was, not just me. And then by the end of the night, after poker, I started wrestling too. I admit that we started getting into it. I mean, we had a room and there's 2 beds, and we're roughhousing and stuff. And then I said I was going to leave at like 5 o'clock in the morning. There's only 5 people left, and then he followed me out of my room. And
he followed you out of the room.
Yeah, and
is that right so far? You followed him out of the room?
He skipped a part.
Shh.
Right, he missed something,
Sure,
but I followed him.
I'm going to listen to his story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then it's good 10 or 15 feet to the next door. And then he came behind me, and I grabbed him as he pushed me, and he like pushed me through the window.
Okay, now you tell me your version of how that happened.
Okay. I'll skip all the BS he was talking about.
Excuse me?
No, about anything didn't have anything to do with how the wrestling started.
Don't forget where you are, Mr. Soderblom.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Soderblom says former friend Richard Martin Jr. owes for damage he caused to a hotel room. Brad says a drunken Richard fell through a window.
Go ahead.
At 5 o'clock a.m., as he was leaving, I went to shake his hand. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, and he grabbed my arm and pulled me down on the ground. And then he ran out of the room thinking it was funny. I didn't think it was funny, so I chased him out, and we started arguing.
Well, you chased him out into the hall.
Right.
He was leaving.
Yes.
So the danger was gone.
Yes.
It was no longer a question if it could ever be considered self-defense. He was extricating himself from the situation.
Right.
By leaving. And you chased him outside.
Right.
Now, continue.
I followed him into the hall, and I was a little upset.
So what did you do being upset and after your 12-plus pack?
We just started arguing, and then...
Well, tell me about the argument. Were you yelling at each other?
Yes, we were yelling at each other.
At 5 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
When the other people in the hotel was sleeping?
There wasn't anybody else on the floor.
You mean you had the whole floor? You probably emptied them out?
Yes, there was no other rooms within the area where we were at.
Go ahead.
And we started arguing, yelling at each other, and and we started pushing each other, and we were locked onto each other like this. He had his arms right here, and I had my arms on his, and we were wrestling, and he caught the back end of the window, and he went back into it like that, and then I went forward, and I got a cut on my finger as well, because if I pushed him through the window, then I wouldn't have any scars or marks on me.
You want to tell me your version of what, were you sober? Did you see this? Did you see this part of what happened?
Yes.
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Mary Burkhardt.
All right, Mary, tell me what you saw.
We left the hotel room. From what I remember, Brad was already on the floor. And we said goodbye to everybody. We were walking out down the stairs.
Who were you walking with?
Richard.
So the two of you were walking together. You left that out. Is that true?
I don't remember her being there, right there. She was by the door.
So she was outside?
Afterwards, yes.
Go ahead.
As we were walking out, we heard someone rushing up on Richard. Brad started wrestling with him, and when he grabbed him out of natural reaction, Richard grabbed him back, and they fell into the window.
Okay, good. Sit down. Mr. Soderblom, there are certain generally accepted principles of law, and one of them is that if you can say in a civil action, in a civil case, and this is a civil case, but for your actions, this incident would not have occurred. I'm comfortable in finding that he's not responsible, just you. He was leaving the room, all you had to do was, and you weren't hurt, you weren't in danger, you may have felt marginally disrespected by him. However, probably you wouldn't have felt that way if you didn't have too much to drink. Everybody was roughhousing that day. He didn't intend to hurt you. And you were not at risk in any way when you went outside and confronted him. So you caused the damage. Pay for it. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I gave the police his information, and he was contacted that morning.
The next morning, I got DWI.
They just told us that if we didn't pay for the damages, then we would be going to jail.
I think that if they didn't drink so much and not realize what they were doing, stuff like this wouldn't happen.
It changes your state of mind. You don't realize what's going on.
Me and this guy, we always get into it when we're drunk anyway, so. And then this time it just went a little bit too far.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hanson versus Fagan. Step forward, please.
Plaintiff Norman Hanson is suing his ex-girlfriend, hairstylist Lisa Fagan, for the cost to renovate her salon. Norman claims he did the work and was never paid.
Mr. Hanson, you and the defendant lived together for a period of time in her home, and it is your claim that while you were together, you did work for her in remodeling her salon. Is that a beauty salon?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was an agreement that she would pay you for that remodeling work. You finished the work. She didn't pay you.
True.
That's your claim. How old are you, Mr. Hanson?
I'm 58 years old.
And when did you move into Miss Fagan's home?
Probably about a year prior to...
What year did you move into her home?
2003, end of 2003.
How long had you known her before?
About 20 months.
And how long did you live with her?
Approximately a year, a little less, on and off.
What do you mean on and off?
Well, whenever she'd go out and meet somebody else, she'd give me the boot, and then he'd leave her, she'd call me back. That's
and you went?
Yes.
You weren't living with her. Where were you living?
I had my own home in Interlaken, about 40 minutes away from her home.
For most of the year, however, you lived with her?
It was more convenient to live with her so I can get the projects done that she wanted done than having to travel back and forth. And plus, I'm disabled, and I'm on a fixed income, and it's easier to move in and save money than go back and forth every day.
Now, what kind of projects were you doing for her?
Okay, I built a privacy fence around the property.
And when did you do that? How long had you been living there?
It started around, I guess, March or April when she got her income tax check. We went up and bought the material, and I started.
What kind of privacy fence was it? Wood?
Yes.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It was.
Did you have to pour cement?
In some areas, yes.
And how big a fence was this?
Maybe 400 feet, 500 feet.
And what was the next project you did with her?
Then I built a 12 by 24 patio off the back of her porch.
Out of what material?
2 by 6s, 2 by 4s, all treated.
Now, during that time, sir, because these projects kept you very busy, while you were living there with Miss Fagan, I assume it is correct that you were not paying any part of the mortgage, gas, electric, or utilities. Is that right?
Well, at first I was paying her like $100 a month.
$100 a month?
One time, Your Honor, I got that.
Twice.
One time.
Twice. He says twice. Give him twice. He gave you $100 a month. That comes out to a little less than $25 a week. Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So we know that that's not really supporting yourself.
No.
Now, what was your main job, Mr. Hansen?
In the salon?
No, your main job. How do you support yourself? You're 58 years old.
I'm on disability.
What's the nature of your disability?
I had a broken tailbone. That's the nature of my disability. I got a broken tailbone.
Well, what does the broken tailbone disable you from doing?
Almost everything up to about 3 years ago. And I...
Just a second. If you're building 500-foot fences...
Yes.
And putting in 20 by 30 patios...
Yes.
And single-handedly remodeling a salon... I want to know, are you disabled from building skyscrapers? Are you disabled from building bridges?
He's lying, Your Honor, to get money from the government. That's what he's
Well, I'm trying to figure that out, Miss Fagan.
I don't believe
you get disability from whom, sir?
I get it from the government.
How much do you get?
I get $5.79 a month.
And when did you start to collect that?
94.
But now you're not disabled anymore.
I'm still disabled.
No, you're not disabled anymore. You just told me you weren't disabled. You just told me that you did construction work.
With exercise, I go through a lot of pain and suffering, but I'm able to walk. At times I had to use a cane. I used to have to use crutches. I worked myself off of that.
Good. Well, that's good. That's wonderful.
Get a job.
How come you don't tell the government you don't need their charity anymore, sir?
It isn't charity.
Sure it is.
When the bad weather comes, I can hardly move around. It changes like the weather.
My goodness gracious me.
It might seem like right now, because it's nice and dry, everything's fine, but I still got pain. I still got to walk with it.
That's life, Mr. Hansen. As we get older, we get aches and pains. But if you can build a 500-foot fence and a 20 by 30 patio and remodel a salon, you should not be getting money from the government because you're disabled. Now, when you told her you wanted money for this salon, and you were living together at the time, sharing a bedroom, I assume, what did she say to you?
She come out and asked me in her house, do I think I could do that concrete building, renovate it, and convert it into a salon? I said, sure I can.
Sure, as long as the weather's dry. Not when it's raining. Did you say to her, I'm sure I could do that, but I can't work when it's raining?
It's harder when it's raining.
Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. She asked me, how much do I want to do the job? I said, well, make me an offer I can't refuse. She said, $15 an hour. I said, okay, let's go with it. And that's what we did.
I'm listening.
Where do I begin? What would you like to know?
No, just say to when he said, why don't you, according to your answer, you said that when he said to you, you have to pay me for this job, you said to him...
I said, are you kidding? I've been supporting you for 1.5 years.
Right on! No, you and the government had been supporting him. The only one who wasn't supporting him is Mr. Hansen. You're 58 years old. It's time you grew up, sir, and decide, I am a human being, I am a man, I have a responsibility to take care of myself. Not the government, not Miss Fagan, not anybody else. Get a job, call the government and tell them you no longer need their disability, because certainly we're going to send them a copy of this tape and let them know that you no longer need any disability,
Fine.
Mr. Hansen. And get a job and take care of yourself. It's time, sir. Otherwise, you'll never know what it's like to be independent, and then you're going to die. Do you understand? Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think at first she tried to make it look like a family unit, but it turned out not to be, because she likes the nightlife.
Yeah, but I supported him for almost 2 years financially, so who used to?
Found out that she was seeing somebody else, so that's when it was time I knew it was over.
Well, he became very jealous and abusive.
I violated the injunction by handing her a note, and I didn't say a word to her. I just walked away from her, and next thing you know, I had a cop picking me up, locked me up. I was in jail for like 8 weeks.
That was the first violation of the restraining order, but he had domestically abused me in August.
After 2 months in jail, I got no feelings for her at all.
Clarissa Dobson is suing her sister-in-law, Kenesha Jones Poindexter, for a trip and wedding expenses.
Miss Dobson, I assume this is your brother.
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And this is his wife.
That is correct.
They're newly married.
That's correct.
When were they married?
June of 2021, June 26th.
Were you at the wedding?
Yes, I was. I was in the wedding.
Wedding at your house?
Wedding was at my home.
This is the unfortunate circumstance that I read in your papers, which I hope to be able to resolve quickly. You've known the defendant for many, many years.
Yes, that's correct.
She became engaged too when she was getting married, and they were planning a wedding, according to you. And Ms. Poindexter, according to you, asked you to lay out certain monies for her for the wedding.
That's correct.
They were married. It was a joyous day, I gather. And then you asked her for the money back.
Yes, that's correct.
And she said, I never agreed to pay you any money. We're family. I've done things for you. You've done things for me. I don't want to get involved with this. You two ladies take care
That's
of it
exactly
on
what
your
he
own.
said.
Okay, well, it seems like a family matter, then more like a court matter. I don't see stupid written over here.
No.
If somebody doesn't have $50 and you think I believe that you relied on her statement that I'm going to pay you for this trip that your brother is going on too, I don't believe it.
Clarissa Dobson claims her sister-in-law, Kenesha Jones.
Tell me about your home.
Nice home, got a lot of land around the property.
How much?
I would say probably a half an acre, which was big enough to put up 2 large tents, 45 guest tables, chairs, the mayor, some police. It was nice.
And there were certain things that you paid for.
Yes, that's correct.
You paid for a photographer?
Yes, that's correct.
How much?
The photographer was $300, Your Honor.
Okay, what else did you pay for?
Because the party was held at the home, the wedding, all the events pertaining to the wedding party had to take place at the home.
Like what?
So like when we had our bridal shower meetings, because also Miss...
Oh, you mean the meetings to plan the wedding?
Right, to plan the wedding.
I'm not interested in that.
You're not interested in that?
I'm not interested in that. Yeah, so far we have $300 for a photographer that you say you laid out. Did she lay out that money?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, what else?
Her rides back and forth.
I'm not interested in her rides back.
Well, how was she going to get this? She's in Philadelphia. I'm in New Jersey.
$300 for a photographer. What else?
And just money she asked to. So on January 20th, Your Honor, we have $150.
For what?
She didn't say what it was for. It was for the wedding, though, because I have it here. Everything wedding is here.
Well, did she ask you for this $150 on the phone, in person?
She asked for it, like, over the phone, but then I sent the money, too. So anything that I sent to her, I always sent to her through Cash App because she's in Philadelphia, no car.
Okay, then let me ask Ms. Poindexter. Ms. Poindexter, there would be no other reason for Ms. Dobson to send money to you through a Cash App during the wedding period other than for the wedding. Would that be accurate?
Not in January, Your Honor. We didn't start planning our wedding until 90 days before June. So anything that happened in January had nothing to do with my wedding.
Okay. Do you have Cash App statements before January?
I have nothing before January.
She has nothing before?
I have
March. We got married in June.
So what would she be sending you money for?
It has been times, I'm sorry, it has been times when I'll ask her for, let me get $50 or, it has been times if I didn't have it or I might have needed a car fare or something, and she would do that. She would lend me money and vice versa.
No, I'm not talking about vice versa. I don't have the counterclaims. That you said perfectly. I would ask her for $50 or $100 and she would lend me that. Is that the word she used? Let's make sure I heard that right.
She says, it has been times when I'll ask her for, let me get $50 or, there has been times. And you asked her why. She said if I didn't have it or I need a car fare or something, and she would do that. She would lend me money and vice versa.
Thank you. Lend me money. So, okay, now we're going to get to Ms. Dobson. Yes. How much money did you send her via Cash App? Because she's already just acknowledged that those were loans.
So, $150, $100.
Let me have the dates.
Oh, okay. March 8th, $50.
Okay.
April 4th, $100. May 11th, $20. May 17th, $25. May 22nd, $205. 15 on May 25th. May 28th, $45. June 3rd, $15. And I had a February 28th in here for $50. That was the first one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I had February 11th only. So you have another.
Right, a February 28th for $50.
Can I see all of those?
Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Okay. Sarah Rose, would you fix that up for me? Okay. And you, based upon the read back and based upon what I thought I heard, okay. So you have
$775.
$775. Has she paid you back any of that money?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, the photographer. I want you to tell me how it came about that you paid the photographer.
Because Miss Jones/Poindexter was waiting on unemployment to hit. And I'm not saying she wasn't trying to get the money up, because she was. But when the time came, this photographer guy needed to get paid, she didn't have the money.
Want to tell me about the photographer?
Yes, the photographer, I believe I was short like $300 and Clarissa did put the rest of the money.
Why didn't you pay her the $775?
I don't believe I owe Clarissa.
Well, you just told her that she loaned you the money when you were short, and she wired it to you or did whatever they do in a cash app. I don't understand all of that. You said it was a loan. Is there any reason why you didn't pay her back? No. Okay. So far I have $775 and $300. Next.
Okay, so now we have the trip. They are the godparents of my twins. Your Honor, we were inseparable.
Okay,
So,
they're the godparents?
last year, 2021.
Okay, April of 2021.
Right. So in the process of planning the twins' birthday, Miss Jones-Poindexter said, oh, I would like to go. I'm just waiting on the unemployment, pandemic money, all that to hit. When it came time to go, they didn't have the money.
You're talking about the defendant and your brother. Yeah. They both went.
Right. So
just a second. They both went.
They both went. That's correct.
And what kind of work does your brother do?
He was a chef at the time.
So he was working.
Yes.
And she wasn't working.
Yes. Can I say something?
You can say whatever you want to say. You know where I'm going, don't you?
I know where you're going.
Okay.
Like I said, we were inseparable, right?
I don't care. I don't care about the social aspect of this.
Okay, but
I don't care whether you say she didn't know what she was doing. You were already in a place where on January 20th, she didn't have $150, so you sent it to her. On February 11th, she didn't have $100, you sent it to her. On March 8th, she didn't have $50, you had to send it to her. So I don't see stupid written over here.
No.
If somebody doesn't have $50 and you think I believe that you relied on her statement that I'm going to pay you for this trip that your brother is going on too because his godchildren are celebrating a birthday, I don't believe it. So let's just forget a trip. $775 is what she says she owes you because she says it was a loan. $300 for the photographer. You have the pictures?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't hear anything from you suggesting to me that this $300 was a gift.
I honestly did believe that she was doing it for our way around.
That's probably how she feels right now.
I love my sister-in-law.
She loved me and I love her. So what?
Honestly, I just want to be able to see my godkid.
I'm sure we'll be all right.
It's always unfortunate and sad when nice occasion turns sour by one thing.
Yeah.
And I thought the brother/husband was
the smartest one.
The smartest one. I'm staying out of this between my sister and my wife.
Yep. The safest place he could be was right where he sat. Just unfortunate. I mean, families squabble all the time, but just to bring it into a legal system, there are ramifications for that sometimes your anger or emotions can get the better of you. But to take it to a filing stage and to use the court system, that's just the next level that I feel like most family members don't need.
And his fiancee, Trinity Wilson, for living expenses, stolen property, and vet bills.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2049, Councilman versus Jorge Watson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Horath, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is your girlfriend.
My fiance, yes.
Is she divorced?
She's widowed.
Since when?
June 6th.
Of what year?
2022.
Well, let me understand this. Prior to you being a widow, you were involved with Mr. Horath. Were you divorced?
I was going through a divorce.
Okay. And then he passed away.
Yes.
Mr. Horath, in 2013, you were incarcerated. How long?
5 years.
And you have 2 little girls.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were incarcerated, were the children living with you prior to being incarcerated?
Yes.
They were living with you?
Yes.
When you went to prison, was there any reason the children didn't go with their mother?
She left them with my mother.
So your mother obtained custody of your children 9 years ago?
Yes.
And raised them?
Yes.
You got out of prison when?
September 2017.
And when you got out of prison, your mother invited you to come and live in the house?
Yes.
In her house?
Yes, ma'am.
Who else lives in her house?
My grandmother.
Who I understand from these papers is suffering from
Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's. So your mother was taking care of her mother and your 2 daughters?
Yes.
So your fiance now, who looks as if she's expecting a child, was your mother's next door neighbor?
Yes.
And you became involved with her when?
End of October 2020, or 19, I'm sorry.
And when you became involved with her, you have 2 children.
Yes.
You invited her with your mother's permission to move in to your mother's house with her 2 children.
Yes, ma'am.
We did agree that she could move in and stay in the guest.
Had you been living in the house by yourself with the 2 girls?
Yes, I have.
How large a house is it?
It's pretty good, decent size. It was 1,980 square feet, now expanded out another 800 feet, so quite. 5 bedrooms, 3 baths.
How do you support yourself?
I own my own business. I'm a nurse. Due to the fact of taking care of my granddaughters and my parents at the time, I had to resign from Fort Irwin, working there because of couldn't commit to the hours. So because of that, I went ahead and got my own business of doing home infusions, and that started right before the pandemic. And so I work a lot.
Anybody help you take care before they moved in? Anybody help you take care of the girls and your mother?
No, it was me.
Now, what kind of work do you do?
I'm a truck driver.
And
going to school and...
Well, supporting yourself doesn't go to school unless you were getting money for going to school. Were you getting money for going to school?
Yes.
From whom?
From financial aid.
How much?
Maybe like $800, $900 a month. And this was before I was living with Danny and Nancy.
And after you moved in with Danny and Nancy?
I was helping her take care of her mother, and her VA was paying me to take care of her.
She was getting the Veterans Aid and attendance. I gave her that extra money to help out with my mom and those expenses.
And then currently, I'm taking care of our young son we have together.
So you have a child together and expecting another one?
Yes.
So then you'll have 4 children, correct? Yes. And you will have 4 children?
I will have 4 children, yes.
Sounds as if your mother did some very nice things for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds as if Miss Castleman did some very nice things for you.
Yes.
Why do you think she's suing you?
Out of anger.
Mr. Horath, why would she be angry at either one of you?
Because we decided that we were going to go ahead off and do our own thing, and she was no longer included in being part of that.
Like what?
Well, being part of a family or a unit. Once my grandmother's health declined and she went to a facility, there was no more communication about anything that was going on around the house anymore.
I don't know what you mean by that. Your fiance's arrangement was that she was being paid by the VA to take care of your grandmother.
Yes.
And then your grandmother, according to you, had to go into a facility.
Yes.
Which means your fiance isn't getting any more payment from the VA.
Correct.
Now, you're working, you drive a truck.
Yes.
Were you contributing towards the running of the household?
Oh, of course, yes.
How much?
Whatever needed to be paid.
No. Tell me what you paid.
I paid the Edison, half the Edison.
Well, that's not a set amount.
I paid $300 a month.
Well, that's an amount. So you paid $300 a month towards the Con Edison.
Yes, ma'am.
What else did you pay?
We paid for the trash.
How much was the trash?
$50 a month.
What else?
I paid for the food.
For who?
For our family.
Well, for all of you or just for you, your fiance, and the 4 children?
And my grandmother, yes, and my grandmother, and Nancy, too.
Not for...
Yes, because I read when you said she would come over for dinner, there came a time when there were an awful lot of people living in the house, and your mother, because it was so crowded, moved into a trailer on the premises, and you moved into the master suite.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Say thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Now, did you pay for anything else that you're not telling me?
Yes, we paid for the internet.
Their internet?
Yes.
Shh. For your own internet?
Yes.
I'm talking about expenses for the house. I assume the mortgage was paid off. Is that what you wrote here?
Danny did pay for the property taxes.
Okay. Well, then that was my next question. Property taxes. Did you pay for any of that?
Yes.
How much did you pay?
It was $1,264 a year.
Anything else?
Remodeling expenses that we did to the home.
I know it was expanded, and it was expanded after you were there.
Yes.
Yes. And do you know how much the remodeling expenses were?
The additions were done before I came home, but everything else was added to when we were living there.
Like what?
The pellet stove had went out, so we bought a new one.
Oh, I'm not interested.
Okay.
I'm not interested in that. I'm talking about regular. So let me get to my trusty computer. We have $300 a month for Con Ed. So I don't even have to do that. I could do 1, 2, 6, 4. Everybody knows me now. I'm a little challenged with regard to these things. Divided by 12 equals $105 a month. And $300 a month for Con Ed and $50 for trash is 5. So you paid in total the expenses that you told me, $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house. I'm just setting the stage for this. You paid $455 a month for living in a 5-bedroom house, and your mother moved out to live in a trailer so that you could be in the master suite with your fiance, a new baby, and one on the way. Those are the objective facts that I have.
Okay.
Now, so I asked you, because your mother is suing for a lot of stuff, and I don't understand why somebody would take this approach when she was nothing but good to both of you. You screwed up your life. She got stuck raising your 2 children, working full-time, and taking care of a sick mother. You go to school, and you're a full-time mother, but that's very nice, but she's not your mother, she's not your grandmother, she's nobody to you. And she took you in and your 2 children. What do you think? Well, you started to tell me that you moved on because she ultimately gave you notice to leave.
We actually gave her notice we were leaving, and that's when all that started.
Okay. Did you also tell your mother that you wanted to buy the house?
Yes, I did.
From her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, that started the trouble. And your mother's response was?
Of course. She said, okay.
And what happened?
I went and applied for a loan. They told me that I did not meet the criteria for the loan. I said, okay, that's fine. What about a rent-to-own option to buy? And she said, okay. We tried to get a real estate agent to go ahead and write out the contract. At that point in time, she wanted to move one of her nurses onto the property, into the trailer that she was living in. I did not feel comfortable with a stranger living on our property. I don't know them. I don't want them around my children. I don't know who they are. And if I'm going to be buying a home, I wouldn't want to...
You're not buying anything. You were renting.
With the option to buy. I want to buy the home, and then when I go back to apply for the loan in a year, I was going to buy the home.
Maybe not. Mr. Horath, so far, you see, you have somebody who has done all things to make your life, which you screwed up a little bit, more comfortable. Takes you in, takes your girls in, takes your girlfriend in, takes your girlfriend's kids in, allows you to have more latitude and more freedom by moving herself out of her own home, which is totally paid off, into a trailer so that you could be more comfortable. And she said, you want to buy the house? Fine. You couldn't get a loan. Well, could I rent to buy? She says, okay. But she's still a working person, as opposed to your fiancé. You ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Nancy Castleman claims her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, owe for living expenses and stolen property. Danny and Trinity say they always paid their share of the bills.
Okay. Now, she's still a working person, and she said, I would like to move one of my nurses. She's raised. So I wouldn't see what your problem is with that, but that's neither here nor there. So that started an acrimonious separation. I'm not going to rent the house because I'm not going to allow you to move somebody that I don't know. I'm not even going to meet them. Somebody that I don't know into the trailer. Where are you living now?
We have our own home now.
Where?
Because we didn't agree with, we didn't want to live with her nurse, so we went
Just a second. I said, the question is, where is your own home?
in Hellendale.
Is that where she lives?
Near.
How near?
10 miles up the road.
And when did you move there?
July 14th.
How big a house?
It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath.
Who owns the house?
We're renting.
And how much are you paying in rent?
$2,500.
So you got a smaller house at 5 times what you were paying her. Is that what I'm hearing? You paid $455 monthly to your mother.
We also paid her van payment, but we
What?
also used the van. her van payment, it was $900 a month.
Did you use the van?
Yes.
Good.
Good. We used it to also take her mother to.
Did you use the van?
Yes.
For you and your children and his children?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So I want to know if she's right down the road and she was good to you for a decade, why is she not included with your family anymore?
She chose not to be.
Really?
Yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or family functions or church functions, she would never come.
Well, you say never. You just moved out a month ago.
This is prior to us moving out. We haven't talked to her since we moved.
You mean prior to you moving out, you would invite her? And what you said was, could you read that back? She's working all the time? Is that? I just want to know if that's what he said.
He said, yeah, she wants to work all the time. When we invite her to do things or church functions, she would never come.
Okay. Unpaid living expenses, electric bill. All right, let's get to the electric bill. He said he paid $300 a month. What does he owe for the electric bill and for what months?
I was on a level pay plan for every month, and it went up higher. The rates have increased in the past year. So that was $900. It was $1,800, the bill that came out. So it actually increased over the last year, and I have copies of that. So I asked for them to pay half.
Did they ever pay the extra money?
No.
Okay. And they continue to live there?
That just came up in May, yes.
Okay, well, then I'm not interested in that. Go ahead. And what else? What other living expenses?
Well, the other electric bill, they were still there. They didn't pay for that one.
Which one?
The one from June to July.
Were you there in June, July?
Yes, ma'am. And I have evidence that I did pay.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Paid $3.
June 19th, $600.
That was not for this electric bill. It was for...
No, that was for Edison.
It says Con Edison.
Yes.
There was another bill that still needed, it was like $723.
I don't care.
That he owed.
I don't care. He paid $600 in June of 2022. You have vet bills here and personal items taken without permission. And the personal items taken without permission, you took some of her things. What did you take that didn't belong to you?
Nothing.
Well, you acknowledged that you did. You acknowledged that either you or your fiance took things that didn't belong to you. You said you returned them, but you took them.
They were packed by other family members that were helping us pack.
And? So they were taken without her permission?
Yes.
By your agents, by people who were helping you, so they were your agents. What was taken?
I guess there was a gun that
Not guess. I don't want to hear guess.
There was a gun that was packed.
Okay. Did you get the gun back?
I got the gun back next day.
It was returned, yes.
What else?
That's as far as I know.
What else was missing?
The ammo.
The ammunition for the gun.
I don't have any ammunition.
I wouldn't have a gun without ammo.
Well, go and look for it. What else?
KitchenAid machine.
What is that?
A KitchenAid for mixing and making. I bought that for my mom. They took that.
That was given to us by my grandmother because she can no longer bake, or actually given to her because she bakes.
And she even, for Mother's Day, Nancy brought, her and Granny, her mother, Nancy brought me the attachment. It makes pasta for the KitchenAid for Mother's Day. So she was aware that her mother gave me, when she moved to the facility, that she gave me the
she moved to a facility, she can't make a gift. If she's moving to a facility because she has Alzheimer's, she can't make a gift.
Okay. I have power of attorney over her.
Shh. Now, if what you're telling me is that you did take it and that the plaintiff sort of ratified that by buying you an attachment for it for Mother's Day, that I'll ask her about. Okay. Now, Ms. Castleman, listen to me very carefully. Did you buy Miss Watson around Mother's Day a pasta attachment for the KitchenAid?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Okay. For my mom. With my mom.
For it. And if you buy an attachment, that was a gift, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you made the gift, you handed the gift to whom?
To Trinity.
Right. So even if your mother didn't have the mental capacity, you could have argued, to make a gift, and it was yours, you ratified the gift by buying her something that could only be utilized with that machine. So I'm not interested in the machine. Could we move forward, please? I have 7 years of postgraduate education. I'm getting very tired of this case.
Okay.
Anything else? Vet bill. Now we'll get to the vet bill. Okay. You had to go to the emergency room when and for what, Ms. Castleman?
I was having issues with my stomach. I was diagnosed with diverticulitis and had to go to the
I can imagine. When?
That was in June, beginning of June.
June of this year. Who took you to the emergency room?
I had to take an Uber. I couldn't drive.
Who was home?
Trinity and her family.
And her family.
Mm-hmm.
And when you went to the emergency room, where was the van?
The van was at the home.
Why didn't she take you to the emergency room?
She said she couldn't do that. She said that she was too busy and stressed out.
Is that right?
I was dealing, my children's father just passed away that day.
And I was there with
Just a second. You were separated from him. Why couldn't you take her to the emergency room?
Because my children just found out that their dad passed away.
That
So I
was
was
the day
dealing with
before.
their emotions.
Just a second. I'm just trying to figure out why you couldn't take her to the emergency room. You've been living with your mother for a while now, since you got out of jail. How many times has your mother been to the emergency room?
Quite a few.
How many?
More than 10 that I know of.
And did you take her to the emergency room since you've been home?
I
out of
have
jail?
before, yes.
How many times did you take her?
2 to 3 times, at least.
When was the last time you took her?
Maybe a year ago.
And what was wrong then?
Her sciatic nerve.
Did you wait with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, because that's the right thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah. Excuse me a second.
Okay.
Don't write to me if you're a fly lover. I don't care. You did absolutely nothing wrong. If I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there.
Nancy Castleman has accused her son, Danny Horath, and his fiancée, Trinity Watson, of taking advantage of her kindness. Danny and Trinity claim Nancy became a...
And I had been living off somebody else for years. I would have put my kids in the van and say, we have to take Grandma to the emergency room. That would just be me. And deal with my children in the van 5 minutes later.
And I would have if I wasn't dealing with my children at the time, and she was aware of that. I think she even took a Lyft or an Uber. She let me know it was okay.
I'm just telling you. I'm trying to get some sympathy going for the two of you. I'm not getting any sympathy going for the two of you. Did she ask you to watch her dog?
No, she, like normal, I have a dog too on the property, and it was a mutual agreement that anytime one of us were gone, we would always make sure the dog went out to use the restroom. But the day her dog had an injury, I wasn't home.
Where were you?
Gymnastics competition.
It just happened at night.
When was your dog injured?
On the day that I went to the ER. I asked her before, I said, I have to go, my lift is here, you know, and can you feed my dogs? And because they're in their trailer still, and Molly's still on the bed, and I didn't want her jumping down, and can you take him out? I don't know when I'll be back. The Uber was there, or the Lyft was there, and I left. And when I came back home, it was about 5:30 in the morning. I noticed the dogs were in there, and that Asher was cut up. He had big old laceration.
Did you know what happened? Could you figure out what happened?
No, I think I know now that it was probably under their trailer while he was out, because she did say that she took him out, but she forgot to feed them, and she was home.
That night I was home, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see her dog injured?
No.
Did you feed her dog that day?
No, I did forget to feed the dogs. I took her small dog, Tamale, off the bed, and I had them go out, and then I put them right back in, and I went back on to the house.
And you forgot to feed them?
Yes, I did.
Okay. But when you went in there, the dog was not injured?
No, he was not.
Okay. The last part of this, and then I'm actually finished. Money owed for unpaid living expenses. Anything other than what we have discussed?
They're supposed to pay rent.
Starting when?
It was supposed to initially have been in November for January of 2022, because since my mom had to go, away because she couldn't take care of her anymore, I had to do what I have to do.
You mean after she stopped watching your mother?
Mm-hmm. That's when I mostly enforced it. But there are text messages that they agreed to pay.
I'd like to see them.
Okay.
I understand, Mr. Horath and Miss Watson, that the agreement was Horath, when you were home, would take care of her mother so that she could work.
Yes.
Yes.
And that stopped at a particular point.
Yes, in May.
That stopped in May.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it does seem that there were arguments back and forth about these expenses, but never wholly an understanding that that was going to happen.
Your Honor, I had several conversations with my son while he's truck driving. He didn't really talk to her particularly because I think she had a lot of influence on that. He would have done the
Whether he did or whether he did, this comes from Danny himself. He says, okay, check this out. I'll call the state inspectors for the septic room additions in the bathroom that needs permits first.
She did.
Just a second. What kind of thing is that? How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
37.
How many times have you been married?
2.
And how old are you?
28.
And that's 2 in addition to this current engagement.
No, then it would just be 1.
And you?
Just 1.
Well, then you're not married, so you've each been married once before.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want you to look at your mother. Maybe in the next couple of years, maybe, she will be here, and maybe she won't. I'm sure when you married the first time, you expected that to be forever because you made a couple of children, right?
Yes.
I hope you'll be able to see that face for a very long time, but she had another husband before you. You're only going to have one mother. And your mother was really good to you and really good to a stranger and her children. And she didn't invite them in and say, well, I'm going to apply for some assistance because now, no. She worked all the time. According to you, she chose to work. She chose to work all the time instead of going to church with you. You have no idea how ridiculous that sounds. You have no idea how ridiculous it sounds to me that Miss Watson says to me, I have children. I can't work. Well, she had 2 children, yours. And she worked and had your 2 children that she had to take care of. And she's much older than Miss Watson. Do you understand? Yes. If you have a work ethic, you have a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, you don't have a work ethic. But right now, she took care of you since you got out of jail. That's a long time. And for you to cut her off from yourself and her grandchildren is pretty outrageous to me. But you're 37 years old and you have 4 children. Now, if all your extra money, but to your mother, you were paying $400 a month for a 5-bedroom house, and now you're paying $2,500 a month rent in a 3-bedroom house, and I assume that that's plus trash, Con Edison, and internet, and everything else that goes along with the house. So I don't know who's paying for that, unless you were just stashing away money. I don't know. I doubt it. I don't even want to go into it. Anyway, Miss Castleman, it's not worth it. You did the right thing with him. You took him in. You did absolutely nothing wrong. But you didn't have a contract with him. And you didn't have a contract with her. And I can't enforce giving you money when there was no enforceable contract. But if I looked up the word ungrateful in the dictionary, their pictures would be there. We're done.
This court is adjourned.
I'm grateful for the things that she did say so they can understand where I'm coming from.
She has no control. She gets upset and wants to see revenge in any way she can.
Those words are not from him. I know my son.
We had a good relationship before all of this transpired.
They don't get it.
Well, I hope that we can all eventually get back to that point for the sake of the kids.
You know, I don't think that there's a legal lesson there to learn, Sarah.
I know, it's just so unfortunate because I feel for the plaintiff. As a grandmother, as a mother, you try and do the right thing, and just to feel so taken advantage of. And I didn't hear a good reason. I was waiting the whole time to hear a good reason for why she was this terrible person that they had to move away from, but it never came.
Well, the only thing that I came up with was that she agreed to let them rent the house, rent to buy.
Yes.
Because they couldn't buy the house. They didn't have sufficient funds. But there was a condition. Now, she was living in a trailer on the property. She said, I want to be able to move somebody in there because I'm going to have to find another place to live, and I'm going to need money. If I sold the house, I would have some money.
And I'm sure to pay for her mother in care costs money as well.
She's a hardworking lady. She had 2 little kids that she had to take care of, in addition to a sick mother, in addition to working full-time.
A lot of stress.
While this one is in prison.